Have you ever pondered the concept of wage slavery? It's a term that might seem heavy, but it's one that has a profound impact on our modern society. To put it simply, wage slavery refers to a socio-economic condition where a person's livelihood depends on wages or a salary. Now imagine this. The alarm rings, you peel your eyes open, shuffle out of bed, and prepare for another day of work. You're not necessarily passionate about your job, but it pays the bills. It keeps food on the table and a roof over your head. You're living to work and working to live, trapped in this never-ending cycle. Sound familiar? This is the reality for many in our society, and it's the embodiment of wage slavery. Wage slavery isn't just about the economic implications, it's also about the psychological and social impacts. It's about the feeling of being chained to a job that leaves little room for personal development or creative pursuit. It's about the social pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle, to keep up with the Joneses, even if it means sacrificing personal happiness and fulfillment. We're not just talking about low-income workers here. Even those who earn a comfortable salary can fall into this trap. Doctors, lawyers, bankers, they too can be wage slaves, working long hours, constantly under pressure, with little time for anything else. The consequences of wage slavery extend beyond the individual. It affects families, relationships, and communities. It breeds stress, anxiety, and burnout. It can lead to a sense of alienation and dissatisfaction, a feeling of being stuck in a rut with no way out. Some argue that wage slavery is a necessary evil, a byproduct of capitalism and economic development. Others see it as a form of exploitation, a symptom of a system that prioritizes profit over people. Regardless of where you stand on this issue, one thing is clear. Wage slavery is a complex issue that touches every facet of our lives. To understand wage slavery, we must journey back in time to when people were farmers and landowners. In the beginning, society revolved around an agrarian model. People were self-sustaining, tilling the land they owned, and reaping the fruits of their labour. The concept of wage labour was nearly non-existent, as the fruits of one's work were directly tied to their own land and resources. However, as time marched on, a significant shift began to take place. The Industrial Revolution, a period of intense innovation and mechanisation, forever changed the face of society. The factory system emerged, and the agrarian society began to fade into the annals of history. Factories sprouted up like mushrooms, offering jobs and a steady income to those willing to trade their time and labour. Many farmers and landowners found themselves drawn to the promise of consistent wages. The land, once their primary source of sustenance, began to lose its appeal. The lure of the factories, with their gleaming machines and the promise of a new way of life, was too strong to resist. This transition wasn't smooth or easy. Many individuals faced a harsh reality check as they moved from the open fields to the confines of factories. The rhythm of life changed drastically. Instead of the rising and setting sun dictating the day's schedule, it was now the factory whistle that had the final say. The concept of working hours took root, and the individuals found themselves bound by the mechanized clock of the industrial world. With this shift, a new form of bondage was born: wage slavery. The workers were no longer tied to their land, but to their jobs and the wages they earned. They became dependent on their employers for their survival. The freedom once enjoyed by farmers and landowners was replaced by an unending cycle of labour and wages. Thus, the seeds of wage slavery were sown during this monumental societal shift. Fast forward to today, and we find ourselves in a society where wage slavery is the norm. The world we live in is intricately woven around the concept of wage labour, with a multitude of our societal structures supporting and promoting this system. It's as if we are cogs in a colossal machine, each playing our part in keeping the gears turning. In our modern society, the expectation is to work. From a very young age, we are told that hard work equates to success. And success, in most cases, is defined by monetary gain and material possessions. This expectation isn't just a gentle nudge, it's a relentless pressure, a weight that each of us carries on our shoulders. It's a societal norm, a status quo that seems almost impossible to challenge or change. This pressure doesn't just stop at the expectation to work, it extends to the type of work we do. Certain jobs are valued more than others, not necessarily based on the impact they have on society, but on the wages they command. This creates a hierarchy of professions, with those at the top often earning disproportionately more than those at the bottom. The value of a person's labor, and by extension the person themselves, is reduced to a number on a paycheck. But where does this mindset come from? How are we so easily led into this system of wage slavery? The answer, in large part, lies in our education system. From the moment we step into a classroom, we are being prepared for wage labor. Our education is focused on equipping us with the skills and knowledge to be productive members of society, to contribute to the workforce. We are molded into workers, not thinkers or dreamers. We are taught to follow a predetermined path, a conveyor belt of sorts, that takes us from school to university, then straight into the workforce, where we spend the majority of our lives working for a wage. The idea of deviating from this path is often met with resistance, if not outright hostility. In essence, we are conditioned from a young age to accept wage slavery as a fact of life. But what about students? How does wage slavery affect them? Let's dive into that. Students, the bright minds of tomorrow, are not immune to the effects of wage slavery. From the moment they step into higher education, they're caught in a system that often prioritizes profit over passion. The pressure to choose lucrative fields of study is immense. Instead of exploring their passions and talents, students are guided towards sectors that promise financial security, but not necessarily fulfillment. Engineering, medicine, law, these are often seen as safe bets, and the arts, humanities, or social sciences are dismissed as risky. The burden of student loans further tightens the shackles of wage slavery. With the cost of education skyrocketing, many students have no choice but to take on significant debt. This debt isn't just financial, it's a psychological burden that shapes their decisions and their futures. Students are forced to focus on repaying loans, often taking jobs they don't enjoy to make ends meet, rather than pursuing careers that align with their interests and abilities. Then there's the struggle to balance work and study. Many students work part-time or even full-time jobs while studying to support themselves and their education. This leaves them with little time or energy to focus on their studies or engage in the holistic learning experience that education should offer. The constant juggling act between work, study, and personal life can take a toll on their mental and physical health, and, often, their academic performance. And let's not forget the stress of entering the job market. The fear of unemployment, underemployment, or ending up in a job that doesn't match their skills or interests can be overwhelming. The competition is fierce, the stakes are high, and the pressure is on. Clearly, the spectre of wage slavery looms large over the heads of students. It's a complex issue that needs to be addressed for the sake of our students and our future. So, what can we do about wage slavery? To overcome this systemic issue, we must start by rethinking our approach to work and income. One solution lies in fostering financial literacy. It's not just about knowing how to balance a checkbook or understanding interest rates, but about acquiring the knowledge to make informed decisions that can lead to financial independence. This involves understanding how to save, invest, and grow your wealth. By becoming more financially literate, we can take the reins of our economic destiny and break free from the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Another avenue to explore is the diversification of income streams. Instead of relying solely on a wage, consider creating multiple income streams. This could mean starting a side hustle, investing in stocks or real estate, or even turning a hobby into a profitable venture. By diversifying, we can reduce the risk of financial instability and increase our financial resilience. Moreover, we should advocate for fair wages and working conditions. It's no secret that the cost of living has been steadily rising while wages have largely remained stagnant. It's high time we demand a living wage, a wage that allows workers to afford the basic necessities of life, a wage that doesn't just keep us alive, but allows us to thrive. It's also vital to push for better working conditions, to ensure that work does not consume our lives, but instead contributes to it in a positive, fulfilling way. And finally, we must continually question and challenge the status quo. If the current system isn't working, it's up to us to envision and create a new one. This involves challenging our own perceptions of work, value, and success, and fostering a culture that values people over profits. While wage slavery may be a daunting issue, it is not insurmountable. With awareness and action, we can envision a future free from the shackles of wage labor. We have journeyed from the past to the present, exploring the concept of wage slavery. We've trodden the worn paths of history, observing how farmers and landowners were conditioned into factory workers, and how that same conditioning continues today with students. We've examined the modern wage slave, trapped in a cycle of endless work, and the student who is groomed to enter that very cycle. We've pondered the necessity of rethinking wage slavery, of breaking down the walls of this societal construct that has been built over centuries. We've seen the importance of acknowledging this reality and understanding its implications, not just for individuals, but for society as a whole. The knowledge we've gathered is not meant to merely sit idle in our minds. It's a tool, a catalyst for change. As we move forward, let us carry this knowledge with us, using it as a tool to build a more equitable and just society.